Today we will start a new subject. This is for the HR specialization. Okay, this is managing change in organizations. Let me write out the topic. Managing change in organizations. This is the subject name. This will be taken by me, this subject. Here in this subject we will be reading about a lot of topics like what is change, how change occurs in organizations, what is conflict management, what are the types of conflict management, and what is the conflict process, what are the ways to minimize these conflicts. We will be also reading about what are groups, how groups are formed, why people form groups. Apart from that, we also will read about the group behavior, about communication and change, about culture and change, how these things impact the change. We will read about the complete change process that occurs in organization, what are the various models or means of doing or undertaking a change in an organization. We will be also doing what is the most effective and efficient way of bringing about change in an organization. Also, we will read why organizations fail to implement change. All these things we are going to read. We will also read organization development in the particular course, same course. What is organizational development? What are the various ways in which organizational development can be done? How organizational development in an NGO takes place? What is process consultation, work redesign? We will also read what are the internal change agent, external change agent, and manager as a change agent. All these things will be dealt with in the particular subject. So if we tell you what is the subject, it is managing change in the organization. Change is something that is always dynamic in nature, everything, because the change is the only thing that is constant. Because if you don't change, you will perish in the long run. You cannot cope yourself with the market conditions. If you want to cope with the market conditions, if you want to be on top, if you want to face the competitors effectively, efficiently, then you have to change the organization. The subject we are dealing with, how can we bring about the expected change in the organization? It is highly essential to understand that. Because if we don't understand this, we will not able to bring about change in the organization. We will not be able to change according to the requirements of the environment of the business. We will perish. Just like dinosaurs perished, because they were not able to adapt to the changes, environmental changes. So if we want to survive in the market, in this cutthroat market, where we want to gain more profit, where we want to be in the number one position, we have to understand what is the change in the organization, how it can be, change can be brought, and what are the ways in which the failure factors, the reasons which result in failure of change can be minimized or removed. So this is the topic in general. We find out what is managing change in organization. In this, we will read the first unit. The first unit is mostly specifically concerned on conflicts and groups. First we will read what is conflict. Okay, types of conflict, conflict process, ways of minimizing conflict. All these things will be dealt in the unit. So we'll start with the first thing, that is conflict management. So what is conflict? If you say in layman's language, conflict refers to disagreement or a certain tension between people. Two people may be in conflict when they are in why? Because there is certain disagreement, and due to this disagreement, there is a certain kind of friction or commotion or certain kind of confusion and tension between both the parties. But this is the layman's terms. We have to understand in academic point of view. The definition was given by Chung and Magison. They said anything which leads to a struggle of incompatible goals needs wishes, interest, and people is known as conflict. So it must be incompatible or opposing. Means both the parties cannot win. Only one party can win. In relation to what? Needs. Your needs may be different, my needs may be different. Opposing what? Wishes. Your wish to do certain thing, my wish to do certain thing. Your interest may be different, my interest may be different. Your people. So it may be a disagreement or confusion between people, or it may be also disagreement in the ideas that each and every people have. Your idea or opinion may not be aligning with my idea or understanding of the particular subject. So this leads to this confusion, this disagreement, this tension between people. This incompatible or opposing goals is known as conflict. This was given by Chung and Mills. Apart from that, Thomas has also given a very good definition of conflict, much more easier. It says when one party negatively affects or is about to negatively affect something that the previous party is very, very much passionate or caring about, then it will lead to a conflict. Suppose, I'll give you an example. Suppose in an organization, the manager is very passionate, is very disciplined. He wants that everybody should reach the office in time. There should not be any delay. But there is a particular person who doesn't show up at right time, is always late. So, what happens? His ideas, his opinion is clashing with this person. They are having opposing goals or incompatible goals. And the person who is regularly delaying is giving excuses. Sir, today this problem was there. Sir, today that problem was there. So I was not able to reach the office at time. So this kind of disagreement causes conflict. Now here we have to keep in mind, when we are going to read about conflict, we generally confuse conflict with competition. Okay, that is a very difficult problem. We should not confuse conflict with competition. Conflict and competition, even though they seem to be similar, they are not. There is a fine thread that differentiates both of them. Now, both in conflict and competition, both have incompatible goals. Both of them have opposing goals. And in both conflict and competition, one party has to win and the other party has to lose. There is no win-win situation in a conflict and competition. So this is the similarity between competition and conflict. This is the reason people confuse conflict and competition. Since both are opposing goals and there is no win-win situation. One has to win and the other has to lose. But there is a major difference between competition and conflict. What is that? In conflict, you genuinely, directly want to prevent the others from getting success. But in competition, it is not so. You do not directly prevent the other person from getting success. Let me explain it with an example so that we will get a clear idea about this. An example of conflict would be football or hockey. Here, both teams have opposing goals and both the teams cannot win together, and one team has to lose and the other team has to win. Moreover, one team tries to directly prevent the success of the other. Okay, you have to save the goal and also save the do the goal and also save the goal. So you are preventing the other party from winning. So this is an example of conflict. But when it comes to competition, then we can say track events are an example of competition because everybody is competing. But here there is no conflict because you have to win by being in your own track. You cannot push or collide with any other person who is in a different track. You have to run in your track. So in order to win, you are no doubt having opposing goals. No doubt everybody cannot win. You have to win and the other party has to lose. Suppose two parties are there. So, but the thing is that what here, you are not directly preventing the other person from getting the success. The other person has to win on his merit. So that is example of a competition. So this is the major difference between competition and conflict. Why this is I am telling, because people generally use it interchangeably and that creates confusion. This is not the case. So there is a particular differentiation between them. Now when we say conflict, one thing you have to keep in mind, why do conflict happen? What are the reasons for conflict? What are the sources of conflict? That is something which we have to keep in mind. That is something we have to understand. So this is also a long question for you. What are the sources of conflict? Sources of conflict. Okay, there are majorly two main sources of conflict. Okay, first one is structure. Structure and personal factors. These are the two factors. These are the main sources. Structural factors are sources and personal factors are sources. These are the reasons where due to which conflict occurs in an organization. So that we have to keep in mind. When it comes to structured sources of conflict, these reasons or sources occur because the way in which the organization is formed. Okay. The way the organization is formed means the organization structure, the job responsibility is divided in the organization, the number of people working in the organization, the complete structure of the organization poses or creates problem and causes conflict. We will read that all the points under the structured sources of conflict. And then coming to personal sources. What are personal sources of conflict? Personal sources of conflict are those sources which are innate inside the person. It occurs because that is imbibed, that is already present inside the person. It may be emotion, it may be skills, abilities, perceptions. So these are known as personal factors. These are also known as internal factors or sources of conflict. These are inside a person which causes conflict in the organization. First we will read about the structured sources or factors of conflict. Under structured sources, there are majorly 4 types of sources. First one, we will read one by one. First one is specialization. Specialization. What is specialization? Specialization means an ability or having extra knowledge about a particular area or a particular subject. When I say that certain student is doing specialization in marketing, means that person is reading or having certain extra knowledge, undergoing certain extra training in marketing to have more qualified knowledge in a particular subject. That is marketing. So you will finally having marketing specialization, HR specialization, finance specialization. Here specialization means extra knowledge you are gaining. That is known as specialization. Okay, specialized or expert knowledge. But when talking from organization context point of view, so specialization means if the jobs are highly specialized, are completely different, highly specialized, it creates problem in the organization. The more the specialization in the job, the more is the chances of conflict in the organization. Because these things lead to an unpleasant situation where both parties confront each other and get into a conflict. Let me give you an example. You must have read in the second year recruitment process. So there is a complete recruitment process, and is also an end-to-end recruitment process. What happens in the end-to-end recruitment process? The HR first gets the requisition about a particular opening. Then he decides upon what are the job responsibility, job descriptions of the particular post. Then accordingly the person sources certain kinds of CVs that matches these job descriptions and responsibilities. After getting those CVs, the HR contacts them and negotiates with them, tells them if they want to join or not, whether if they are willing to join, then schedules an interview for them. Then the HR takes the interview. After the interview, the results are told. Then again the HR negotiates about what is the pay structure, when he will join, what is the location of his job, what are the other perks he wants in the job, and finally the joining of the candidate in the organization. So this is the complete end-to-end process of recruitment. But nowadays, due to jobs are becoming so much specialized, there are different heads, different managers for different things. There is a sourcing executive, there is a person who will do only negotiation, there is a person who will enable the meeting, that means he will negotiate with the person and schedule these interviews. There is a person who is only for liaising. He will contact the candidate after he is selected, then he will tell what he will join, when he will join, what is the package he will join, and what package will be more interested to join. These kind of things, and finally the person has to join the organization. So what happens when the jobs are much more specialized, like in the example I am telling you, the sourcing executive may not be properly knowing the job responsibilities, maybe by mistake he must have sourced certain CVs, or the person who is making job responsibility, job description required for a job, he has to identify, he has done some mistakes because the requisition, the person who got the requisition, the manager who got the requisition for the job opening has not properly communicated it. So when the jobs are highly specialized, it creates a problem because there is no communication or there is miscommunication. Then one person may say, because of you, our job is undermined. Suppose the sourcing executive properly doesn't source the CVs, then I cannot have proper candidates for an interview. So when the jobs are highly specialized, this poses as a problem, this creates a problem. Okay. Now we will read about the second sources of conflict, that is interdependence. Okay, interdependence. Interdependent, how one job is dependent on other job. There may be two or more jobs that are interdependent on one another. When there is interdependency, this also causes conflict. Because suppose the one group doesn't do the task properly, the other group's performance is in problem. So what happens? The group of person whose work is now creating problem for the other people, both the parties will be having a conflict. So under this interdependence, when the jobs are interdependent, it creates conflict in the minds of people. There are three kinds of conflict. Okay, you have to remember the three kinds of conflict that occurs due to interdependence. There are three types of interdependence. First one is pooled. Pooled interdependence means it's an additive task. Additive task means here the task in pooled interdependence, the jobs are such that the final job will be created by adding all the smaller tasks. Let me give you an example of that. Sales target. In sales target, the sales target is given to all the people in the sales department, and all the people in the sales department has to together work to get the job done in order to achieve the sales target. So one of them or few of them don't contribute to the sales target, then the sales target cannot be achieved. So in pooled interdependence, it is an additive task and sales target is an example of that. After that, the second is sequential interdependence. Sequential What is sequential? One after the other in a sequence. So one group has to complete the job, and after the job is completed by one group, task is completed by one group, then only the other group can start the task. So here is the first group. The preceding group does not do the task properly. It will create a problem for the later groups, because they also cannot do the task properly, because their work will be completely undermined because due to the inability or inefficiency of the preceding group. Example of this, let me give an example of this. An example of this sequential interdependence is assembly line production. In assembly line production, the product finally becomes complete by going through various stages, and one stage cannot be complete before second stage cannot be complete before the first stage is complete. So this is an example of sequential interdependence. If the first preceding group doesn't do the task properly, it will create problems for the second group, which will finally result into conflict. Then coming into third type of interdependence, that is reciprocal. Let me write. Reciprocal. Reciprocal means here the tasks are conjunctive in nature. What is conjunctive in nature? All the things, all the sub-tasks has to together work simultaneously to give the final product. Okay, let me give you an example of this. Let us say you go to a hospital to get health care. Here, you can go to the X-ray department, you may go for examination for your blood, you may go for examination of your blood pressure. Okay, finally you may take a bed and stay in the hospital for certain days. The doctor can only give you proper patient care, health care, only when all this X-ray department, blood diagnosis department, the doctor who is undertaking or taking your blood pressure, everybody works simultaneously in tandem. Then only the healthcare facility can be up to your satisfaction. If any of the group, any of the people in the hospital do not perform that task properly, it will result into conflict and the healthcare will not be up to satisfaction. So these are the causes. Interdependence is one of the structural causes of conflict. Apart from that, another is goal differences. This is also a structural source of conflict. Goal differences. Goal differences. As the definition of conflict says, incompatible or opposing goals creates conflict. Okay. When you are having incompatible opposing goals, it will create conflict. Like, give you an example of that. Suppose I've taken an example of cable TV channel. So here there are two departments. Various departments. Let's focus on two departments: sales department and the service or installation department. Service and installation department. Here the job of the sales department is to get as much as connections possible. The more connections, the more will be profitability. They will reach their sales target. So their goal is to get maximum connections. On the other hand, the job of the service or installation department is to immediately install this set of boxes in various houses, in various locations. So here the goal of the sales department creates problem for the service department. Like, if in a day I have 10 new connections and I have promised to give them installation on the same day, then this goal of sales departments creates problems for the service department. They are not able to, suppose, install them. Then they are having opposing goals. These goals of the service department and the sales department are different. So there may be a confusion, there may be a conflict. The service department says, since we are giving so much connections to be installed in a particular day, we are not able to do it to the completely satisfaction of the customer. This is resulting to the customer failure. So this causes conflict. And the last type of factor in structured sources of conflict is jurisdiction ambiguities. Jurisdiction ambiguities. Jurisdiction ambiguities. What is jurisdiction? Jurisdiction means nothing but a limit or the area within which I can operate a company or a person or a person. So what happens in job where jurisdiction? Because there are certain responsibilities which a salesperson has a particular set of responsibilities. Advertising person has a certain set of responsibilities. Okay, so different people working in the organization have different set of responsibilities. But what happens? Ambiguities. Ambiguities means unclear. You are not clear. There is such a kind of confusion regarding this jurisdiction. If you don't know where your jurisdiction ends and where the jurisdiction of the other employee starts, then you may interfere with this jurisdiction. You may interfere with these responsibilities. This may be one of the causes for conflict in the organization. Obviously, if you are working as a person and I am entering into your jurisdiction and I am hampering your responsibilities and I am superseding that, you will be obviously irritated with me. It will lead to a conflict. So these are the examples of structured sources of conflict. Okay, specialization, goal difference, and then interdependence and jurisdictional ambiguities. Now, as we have cited above in the video, we have to discuss the personal sources of conflict. Personal sources of conflict. Under personal sources of conflict, the first point which we are going to deal are skills and abilities. Skills and abilities. Skills and abilities causes conflicts. Because in an organization there are different people having different skills and abilities. So if you are working in a particular team and the ability and skill of the person working with you is not in tandem, is not in the group, is not matching the group objectives of skills and abilities, then is not performing the task properly, then this creates problem or conflict. What are skills? What are abilities? Abilities is something very innate inside of a person. You should have the ability. Once you have the ability, by proper training, you can improve your skill. But you need to have your ability. So both skills and abilities are required for a job. Okay. And when various different persons have different skills and abilities, then it creates problems in the organization. Now, apart from skills and abilities, we will deal with personalities. These are also one of the reasons for conflict. Okay. What is a personality? Personality is nothing but a bundle of thoughts, feelings, behaviors that entirely make up a person, give shape to a person. And say that a particular person is of a particular personality, is a good personality or a bad personality. It means the thoughts, the feelings, the behavior all together. How does he react to the environment? That shapes the personality of a person. Obviously, people of different personality, they may find it difficult to work together and it may lead to conflict. Let us give me an example. Somebody in the group or in the organization is very stubborn or very aggressive or very sensitive. In any of the conditions, there will be a conflict. If you are oversensitive and if I say a minor small thing also, you may take it seriously. You may react more. If you are a stubborn person, even though I am pushing you, you will not perform because you are a stubborn person, and this will create a conflict between us. So personalities also creates conflicts in the organization. So this is one of the personal factors which creates conflicts. Apart from personalities, there is another thing called conflicts, that is perceptions. Perceptions is how do you perceive a particular situation or particular time. You can perceive by using your perceptual organs. your perception will not be similar to another person's perception. The different people have different perceptions. When different people have different perceptions, there are chances of conflict between them. Because perception is like what motivates for a manager. A manager is a person that particular monetary reward will motivate a person. But the persons are not requiring or looking for a monetary motivation. They are looking for recognition. So if a manager only gives monetary advantages to them for motivating the people, but they want more recognition and growth in the organization, they will not be motivated. So here the perception plays a problem, because the perception of the manager about what motivates the employee and what actually motivates the employee are completely different. So this may cause conflict. So perceptions is also one of the reasons. Difference in perceptions also causes conflicts in organizations. Then we'll come into another point that causes conflicts in organizations, very essential, is values and ethics. Values and ethics. Okay. What are values and ethics? Values and ethics are nothing but a moral set of ideas, a moral set of beliefs which a person has. If a person has certain values, ethics, good values, ethics, he will not indulge in negative or criminal activities. A person whose values and ethics are not good, he may be interested, he may try to defraud somebody or try to get away with certain wrongdoings. So, values and ethics of different people, these are different. So, people with varied values and ethics also causes problems in the organization. Let us give you an example. Old people in the organization who are very loyal to the organization, who have been in the organization for the last 15 or 20 years, their outlook towards the job, and the freshers who are entering the organization, their outlook towards the job are completely different. Why? Because the person who has given 15 to 20 years of his life for a particular job has dedicatedly, committedly worked for 20 years of his life in a particular job, is passionate about his job. He doesn't want to do anything that will undermine his job performance. But a person who is very, very new to the company, has not personally no contact with the company, may or may not have the similar level of value and ethics, may not be that much dedicated or committed towards the work. So the old person and the new person may have a conflict. The older person may feel that the new worker is not at all serious about his job. So these are one of the reasons why conflict can occur in the organization. Differences in values and ethics. Apart from that, we'll read another point which causes this conflict is emotions. Emotions causes conflicts because the emotions, moods of different persons are different. So what happens? People of different moods persons, if they are colliding with each other, it will cause conflict. Suppose I am having a very bad emotion or mood in the house. I had a fight in the house and I am coming to perform in the job. And what happens? I am not satisfied because I am not happy. So what will happen finally? This will cause problem. This will cause conflict. We will deal with the last factor or sources of conflict. What is the last factor that causes, personal factor that causes conflict? Is communication barriers. Let me write it down. Communication barriers. These are nothing but shortcomings or barriers in the communication process. You must have read about the communication barriers in your second year in BCS, Business Communication Skills. What are communication barriers? It may be semantic barriers relating to the physical distance. It may be barrier regarding the language or the jargons used, or it may be cultural barrier. So all this, if these two people, if the organization consists of people from different cultures, so there may be cultural barrier, from different people have different mother tongues. With the kind of pronunciation of words is different, so it may cause communication barrier. When the communication barrier happens, when one person is not able to communicate the message properly to the other person and the other person misinterprets it, or there is miscommunication in the message, this results to a conflict. Suppose there is a deadline and he says that we have to, a manager says that we have to give the project reports or the reports by end of this month. But the person has not understood, is miscommunicated. He thinks that I can have another day or two. If he is not able to get the message properly, he will not be able to give the report in the time period in the deadline. So this will create conflict. So a lot of conflicts are also created because of these communication barriers that is present in the organization. Okay, so these are the personal factors or sources of conflict: skills and abilities, personality, perceptions, values and ethics, emotions, and communication barriers. Both of these structured sources of conflict and personal sources of conflict are the two major sources that causes conflict in the organization. We have to keep in mind all these points so that we will know where the conflict arises. While we will be dealing with conflict resolution, you have to understand the reason for the conflict, then only you can resolve the conflict. So these sources of conflict is highly essential. This is a very important question in Unit 1. Please prepare that. I will be sending you the notes digitally. Go through that. No need to panic. Prepare in your home. Be safe. Thank you.